Tom Hanks is the best thing in this movie. I mean, he's almost too good for the movie. As my cat hops up next to me because she wants to be in the shot. No, come here. Hi, you're cute. Hey everybody, welcome back to Off the Wall. I'm Mike, and today we are talking about Disney's Pinocchio. No, not the one from the 1940s, but the Disney Plus live action remake, which is a sentence I never thought I'd have to say out loud, and I really regret that I have to. I'm on the record as I just being not a fan of pretty much any of the live action remakes. I think for the most part, they've all been a pretty huge waste of time. I have said many times that both The Lion King and Beauty and the Beast are among the ones I despise the most. I think they're just huge a waste of time that do an utter disservice to the things that they're based on. And Pinocchio is not really going to fare better in this argument. While Pinocchio is fairly harmless in its take, it just feels soulless. It feels soulless and devoid of any real charm or intrigue or just the levity and fun that you have with the original Pinocchio. Tom Hanks is almost too good for this movie. Like, he's very good as Geppetto. I mean, that's kind of stellar casting, and he does the best with what he's got. I mean, for the most part, the dialogue and the script are pretty beat for beat a carbon copy of the original. It's what they choose to do with the things they add that really takes this thing down to a pretty low level. There's an introduction of a new character who is a ballerina that works a ballerina puppet at Stromboli's show, who kind of uses this puppet as a proxy to befriend Pinocchio. And her character is interesting. Honestly, she's very interesting. And then she's just kind of gone from the movie. She gets a couple of minutes of screen time, very interesting dynamic, and then we go away from it, which is kind of a weird thing that happens in this movie a lot. Is we get new stuff and we spend no time with it, and then it's just kind of gone, and we get back to the paint by numbers side of things. The redesign of Monstro, now it's not just a big whale, it's like a legit like sea monster, and the design is very inventive. And the CGI inside of his belly is actually very good. It's an interesting take on it, but oh man, we're in and out of there in like 2 minutes. We are not there very long at all. It's little things like that. It's we do some new stuff, we spend no time with it, and then we just go back to what we've been doing from the get-go. And it's a movie that doesn't fully understand, I think, the world that itself is living in. We've got everyone freaking out that there's this talking puppet, but we also have like anthropomorphic foxes and cats in this town. So like, why is one believable and one's not? I don't I don't get it really. And they did that in the original, but people weren't so much he freaked out by it. Like, Pinocchio goes to school and gets thrown out for being a puppet. Like, it was this total Star Wars. We don't serve their kind here. You're droids. Like, that's kind of what it felt like. Um, and the meta jokes. Oh, the meta jokes. I mean, they are just painful. I mean, there's a joke at Chris Pine's expense that was it just was dumb. And it fell flat and it was stupid. There's meta jokes about like becoming an influencer, and I don't know. And probably the one that was the most infuriating was Geppetto's wall of clocks, which, thinking back to the original, were fun and cute and cartoony. And this, literally every clock is a scene from a Disney movie. Like, there's Woody riding on Bullseye. There's Snow White and the evil witch. There's Maleficent. There's Roger Rabbit kissing Jessica. It is, and they don't just do that once. They do that twice. There are two like extended sequences with these Disney themed alarm clock, cuckoo clocks in this Disney movie, and it just feels cheap. And speaking of cheap, oh, they didn't spend a lot of money on the CGI on this thing. The CGI in this movie is I mean, it's bad. It's really bad. I mean, it is Pinocchio, the design, yeah, they went for the original look of Pinocchio, and that's fine. But I mean, they made him look almost too lifelike, if that I don't know if that makes any sense, but it really just digs into that uncanny valley thing. And all the acting, voice acting from the young man playing Pinocchio is fine, but a lot of it does feel like kind of the first take. Like they were like, ah, you know what, good enough. We're not trying to spend a lot of time and a lot of money on this. It's 2 hours long. This movie, the original is an hour and 20 minutes with credits. And back in the 40s, there was a lot of credits. This is 2 hours long, and I really don't fully grasp where the extra 30 minutes comes in. That's a big problem I've had with a lot of these Disney live action movies is that they are somehow incredibly long, like much longer by like 30 minutes than their original, but I can't figure out where that time is being spent because the pacing for all of these, Pinocchio especially, is really bad. I mean, we'll spend an extended period of time in a sequence that really means nothing at all. We spend a considerable amount of time in one chunk with this ballerina character, but then we're so quick to get back to the regular story, like it just beat, 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 beat. We're spending more time with this extraneous stuff, and then we're losing time with the actual story. And I can't quite figure out like what the meetings were with this movie. Like at this point, like, even with like the Lion King, I can still look at it and say, like, well, with the technology, you can see that there was a project to be developed here with perfecting this technology. There's something that was accomplished with that. Even with Beauty and the Beast, which I despise, I could see where they were trying to make adjustments and try new things, even if they didn't necessarily work. With this one, I really don't know what they were going for. If not just obligatory, what haven't we remade? Like what's left? It's mind-boggling to me that this kind of stuff is still being made. But I can also say, like, look, at least smart for them to just drop this on Disney Plus. If they had put this in theaters, it would not have made nearly enough to make its budget back. So kudos, I guess, Disney. Good job. I don't know. I don't know. I found myself struggling to pay attention. I found myself struggling, like really wanting it to end. Um, Even some of the most basic stuff, like in the trailer for the movie, we have Geppetto saying the famous poem, Starlight, Star Bright, first star I see tonight, wish I may, wish I might, have this wish I make tonight. It's such a famous poem. Metallica uses it in a song. Uh, it, and for those of you saying that's not the one that enters Sandman, no, I'm talking about King Nothing. Don't question my knowledge of heavy metal. It's not in the movie though. He gets like partway through the first line and just goes, oh, am I gonna wish for it? And just it's all under his breath. It's not said. Not only is it not said, we don't even actually focus on his face to see like his contemplation. It's from behind, or it's from Jiminy's perspective across the room. So we don't even get to spend any time like living in Geppetto's thoughts. There's an introduction of something with this one where Geppetto is actually mourning a dead wife and son, and we spend about 5 seconds with that. That isn't enough of a character detail to make Geppetto interesting. And we're supposed to believe that, like, that's, I guess, his motivation behind creating Pinocchio, but we spend no time with it. And so when he does this whole silent, under his breath wish for Pinocchio to come to life, it just feels arbitrary. Like, well, he's making this wish because the story says he has to. There's no like longing look at the picture of his dead son and thinking about it and making the wish out loud. It's all the reference to the dead wife and son are made in the first couple seconds of the movie, and it's never brought up again. And I mean ever. It is never brought up again. ever. Even the way that he comes up with the name is you're made of pine. Pinocchio. Like, have Pinocchio have been the name of his son or something. I mean, it didn't. They were trying to connect dots that weren't really there. I could go on and on about how frustrating this movie was for me because I grew up watching Pinocchio. When we've done our trailer reactions for this movie, I have said I watched Pinocchio so much that I got in a lot of trouble at school, like I'm sure a lot of kids did, because I would walk around saying, "What do I look like, a jackass?" Because it was funny and it made me laugh as a kid. And that line is still in this movie, which is peculiar because with the Pleasure Island stuff, they somehow tried to make that family friendly. Like they're no longer smoking cigars, and they go out of their way about 7 times to remind everyone that the mugs are filled with root beer. Cool. Now kids are going to be afraid to drink root beer because they think they'll turn into donkeys. I don't know. And I think probably the most perplexing thing, I feel like I've said that already, but anyway, I'm talking out of my ass. I feel like the most perplexing thing is actually the ending of the movie. And I know at this point it's moot, but yeah, there we go. They do the ending differently. The original one ends with them all at home together. The Blue Fairy makes Pinocchio a real boy, and they have this great song and dance. The movie ends in a cave, having just barely escaped Monstro, and Geppetto's like, you know what? I'm selfish for wanting to make you into a real boy. You're already a real boy because you're brave and you're kind and you're honest. Those are you don't need to be a real boy to be a real boy. And at first I was like, okay, different take. I kind of like it though. And even as they're walking away to leave the cave, we hear Jiminy Cricket say, "Now, you might think you might know the story. You don't know shit, okay? Maybe he did turn into a real boy. Maybe he didn't. We'll never know." Which, again, is kind of a neat idea, except we then focus on a close-up of him turning into a real boy as he walks away. So whatever point you were trying to make is moot. But did he actually need to turn human to be a real boy? Well, clearly you think so, because that's what you have him doing. So I don't know what you're trying to accomplish with this movie. This is one of those movies that, like, when I first saw it, when I first tweeted about it, I was like, it's bad, but it's not awful. It's harmless. I still think it's harmless, but I do still think it's really bad. And I'm starting to actually kind of see what people are talking. The more I talk about it, the more I'm not liking this movie. So all I can really say is if you're in the mood to watch a Pinocchio movie, either watch the original Disney one from the 40s or wait till later this year when Guillermo del Toro's comes out and check that one out, because that one looks a little bit more interesting, honestly. I don't know. I thought this movie was a huge waste and just kind of stepped on its own toes way too much. So let me know what you guys thought down in the comments. Let me know on Twitter. All of our Twitter stuff's in the description. Like the video, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and we'll see you guys again next time on Off the Wall. Bye.